ingredient to where markets are going to be heading next here with the big announcement coming in a matter of hours.
Excellent, my friend. No, hey, and we are on the exact same page about that, especially now more than ever. And we were just talking about this before we jumped onto this call here, that it's pretty amazing that we were able to set up this call for this specific day, because as everyone's seen all over the place, all over your timelines, is this Bitcoin ETF move is going to change the game, and it's already changed the game in many ways. And now more than ever, there are powerful players in the background that are pulling strings to just really mess with, how we trade and how we exist in this space here. So first of all, a couple quick things here, guys. I just started the live stream. So we are now live streaming on X, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And I encourage you guys to check that out. I'm actually going to take the link to that and post it here in the comments and up on the Jumbotron, because today one of the things that we're doing is we're actually going to be sharing, doing a screen share to actually show you guys the data, the objective data that's going on behind all of this, to help inform all of us and to see exactly what's been happening and exactly how people have been reacting to these news and events here. So in saying that here, normally, Brian, what we do on this space is we do a bit of a deep dive into kind of your background, what brought you here. But I know timing is of the essence today. So if it's all right with you, I'd love to just jump right in and start looking at the data. How does that sound to you?
I love it. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Let me go ahead and share my screen here.
You're on mute there, Brian. Yeah.
Thank you. So just to clarify, should I keep my mute on the live stream but keep it on for the Twitter space, or keep audio on for both?
Okay, hold on. I'm just going to turn up my volume a little bit here so I can hear. Just try speaking for a second and I'll let you know.
Test 1 2. Right now it's on both. My mic is on both the live stream as well as Twitter space.
Perfect. You know what? It sounds crystal clear. So yeah, if you keep it like this, then it should be okay.
Yeah. Won't touch a thing. We will share in just a moment on the live stream. So for those tuning in or watching the replay, you should see my screen in a matter of seconds.
Excellent. And then, friends, I'm before we dive in, and we are just about to do that, and I'm going to get going on our first question here, Brian and Victor. But I would love to encourage everyone to let's share the love. This is really important information that we're going to be sharing today, and I would love to be able to share this with the most amount of people possible. So if you can jump bottom right hand corner, give this space a repost, and let's get it out there. And of course, as per every week, one of the things that we do on our space is the content blow up challenge. So if at the end of the space, whoever quote tweets this space, we will choose one of you. We will grab one of your posts and we'll have everybody here just blow it right up here. So there's the challenge. And if it's good with you guys here, let's jump into it. And before I ask my first question, Victor, I was just wondering if there's anything else that you wanted to add here before we dive into it.
Oh, I think that we can get right away. I hope that for the people that don't know in the audience, maybe our friend Brian here can introduce like himself and sentiment, just very short, because I think that most people know already.
Yeah, you bet. So Sentiment is essentially an on-chain social and development metrics platform that provides alpha and tools and analytics to provide you the best picture of exactly where the markets stand at any given time. We have over 2,700 different assets that we cover, and we have anything from whale data to sentiment data to just how much the actual team is working on the asset and working to improve and innovate at any given time. And it really creates a clear picture as to, which assets out there you can trust, where the overall sector is going next, and how you can optimize your portfolio at any given time. We've got a community of well over 500 on Discord, tens of thousands overall in terms of user base, people who use the platform. And we do regular videos with guests, or I should say, as a guest like myself, with people like you, and solo videos to walk through how our data works on our YouTube channel, which is just Sentiment Network, no spaces.
Awesome, Brian. I really appreciate that. And then for me personally, I just love to share here real quick that using your tool Sentiment has actually empowered me to find several awesome opportunities. I remember using Sentiment to be able to find Injective right around the beginning of the pump up to around 40 bucks. And I was actually able to make a decent little profit there. And that was strictly from the social sentiment. But what's interesting with that, and I want to pull up a quote here that I caught from one of your videos recently, is that you said, one of the things that you guys try and continually push through sentiment is that price moves in the opposite direction of crowd's expectation. And this is something that I've always thought about, but you've actually presented tangible, objective data to actually support this. Are you able to elaborate a little bit on this and maybe, let us know why this is? And if you can maybe tell us a little bit on how we could leverage this information and how we can use it to just be safe in this environment.
Sure. Yeah. So you're absolutely spot on. So our mantra at Sentiment, based on back testing, is that markets almost always are going in the least predictable direction. So if the crowd unanimously or close to unanimously believes it's time for prices to go up, then we're very close to a top. If the crowd is very pessimistic, let's say they're concerned about the FTX collapse, which happened about a year ago, or COVID-19 destroying the sector altogether, which happened back in March of 2020, then we're actually very close to a bottom. And those end up being some of the best possible times to invest in crypto. So generally, just as Warren Buffett said in many occasions on the equities sector, similar patterns arise in crypto where extreme reactions in one direction are generally seen by the key stakeholders of crypto and are able to be taken advantage of, so that when there are a bunch of tiny addresses that are trying to sell, those whales will put up a big buy wall and scoop up all of those coins at a cheap price and then pump the price to make them pay for it. Same goes for the other end. December 2021, when we were just hitting that top and correcting after the 68K plus price that Bitcoin had gotten to, Ethereum got to about 4,800. They were putting up massive sell walls as the crypto community was talking about what the latest meme coin was going to go to the moon, because everything had been erupting at that time. So more often than not, when the crowd gets way too excited or way too pessimistic, those are the times where Sentiment's tools can be the most valuable, because they show those extreme fluctuations and almost always will result in the crowd's unanimous behavior getting punished and prices moving the opposite direction.
It just makes my day that there's actual substantial data out there to prove this. And I'm really excited to jump into the next question here. And you know what? Before I do, Victor, I just want to touch base with you, hear what your thoughts are about this, and hear how you're reacting to what we're talking about right now.
So this is a very exciting topic for me because I'm the kind of people who believes that decisions should be made in general based on data, right? Other than other things, right? But for that, you have to make sure that your data is of good quality. If you don't have good data, you cannot take good decisions, no matter how good are your algorithms. So I was wondering, what is the origin of this data? And if you guys are running some nodes or something.
Yeah, we definitely have nodes. On this space, I don't want to get into the details because we have developers who could explain it far better. But yeah, essentially our platform is made up of many nodes, many very complex proprietary data connections that allow us to tap into the blockchain, many different blockchains, I should say, in real time in order to ensure that data is objective at all times. We use CoinMarketCap's data for a large part of our platform. So as long as their platform is running smoothly, our contract with them allows us to kind of weave through the noise and the complexities of the data that is on the blockchain and put it in a meaningful story that allows people to quickly sort and identify the exact data that they need.
Wonderful.
Okay, I see.
Go ahead there, Victor. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think that that's a great answer. Like, no worries about like the technicalities of it. I know it's complicated, but I'm happy to hear that you guys are using data that that you can trust as well, right? In other platforms, and doing kind of these little cross checks. I think it's very important, and I have found in my experience, not only as a founder but also as a DevRels at Metis, that sometimes data is corrupted and people are not aware of them. And sometimes it's even worse when you have these community, let's say, community driven platforms that have data availability for everyone, which is great, right? Because anyone can, cooperate and add data and add valuable information. But at the same time, it's kind of complicated because you need to make sure that the data is correct. Otherwise, you could be providing misleading information. So I'm super happy to hear the work that you guys are doing.
Yeah, thanks so much for the kind words. I mean, we really take our platform seriously, and we know that similar to Bloomberg or other data platforms for similar sectors, we have a very important responsibility to keep the news as accurate as possible at all times, be objective with our analysis of the types of assets and projects that we talk about are based on the crowd's interests. We don't play favorites. We don't have a secret huge investment fund where we try to manipulate markets. That's always an accusation that any successful platform faces, especially one that has data like us. But we really take our responsibilities seriously to ensure that our focus is based on what the crowd is talking about. And we have those exact tools for those watching my screen share right now. I can actually show you that we have this section called social trends, where we can look at the top 10 keywords that are spreading on social media at any given time, or trending tokens, which is what I'm showing here. And you can actually see, which assets are getting the most discussion by percentage compared to its normal resting average. And unsurprisingly, right now, the top two topics are Bitcoin and Ethereum, which are usually not the case because they're always being talked about a lot. And usually it's random small asset that had been pumping that is getting, onto our trending list. But with the ETFs being at the forefront of everyone's attention right now, it makes perfect sense why they're at the top. You can see below, we've got assets like Lido DAO, which has been on a big run, XAI, which I think is trending for another reason. REQ is another one trending due to its pump. Pond, SSV. These are the kind of assets that we'll look at and say, okay, the crowd has special interest in it. So we're going to report on some of the most enticing and intriguing metrics that we recommend watching if this is an asset that you're trying to long or trying to short, or you're just trying to analyze for some project you're working on. And that's really the approach that we try to take.
All of these numbers and these charts is just it's activating that part of your brain that just fires you right up here. So Brian, I'm ready to get into it here. So I know timing is of the essence for you right now. We don't have much time left here. So here's what I'm hoping we can accomplish in the next couple of minutes here, Brian, and let me know what you think about this. So first, as promised, I would love to dive into the data that's happening behind Bitcoin right now, as the sentiment is at an all-time high. And also, I would love to go into one or two ways that anyone who's interested in using your platform can use it. And I would love to frame this in a way of speaking to beginner or intermediate investors, people who may not know too much about on-chain data, and speak to them on the benefits that they can get from this. So how does that sound to you, my friend?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we talked about a set time limit for the space ahead of time. I'm more than happy to go, 5-10 minutes past that time, assuming you guys have the bandwidth, just so we can digest the special situation that we're in right now with crypto. I don't want to rush it too much. but absolutely, we can talk a little on where Bitcoin currently stands in terms of its objective on-chain social and development metrics, expand that to some of the altcoins. And to lead things off, I can answer your last question, which is how people can really use our platform. And I really recommend starting with uh, honing in on whales. Whales, just as they were 10 years ago, are still as important, if not even more important, today in terms of their influence on where markets go next. We have quite a few different metrics that give you a peek into, what the top X amount of addresses are doing at any given time. Sometimes, depending on the asset, it may just be some sort of bridge wallet or staking wallet that is not relevant to an individual's holdings and behavior on whether they're trying to buy or sell. But something like Bitcoin, which is a bit mysterious in terms of who these whales and sharks are, and even where they're located at times. We know most of them, but there are some where we don't even know if it's an exchange or non-exchange wallet. All we can do is sort by size to an extent and see, what are sharks and whales doing at any given moment. And on my screen right now, I'm showing a few different lines at the same time. This bright green line here
Brian,
would be.
so I apologize to jump in here, but just to take a quick pause, do you mind just defining what exactly a whale and a shark is for anyone here who might not be familiar with those terms?
Yeah, of course. So generally, a shark or whale is someone who is near the top of the food chain, if you will, in terms of their overall stake and overall holding portion of the asset. Bitcoin, of course, is so large, being the number one market cap asset, that there is no single address that can single-handedly make the asset go to the moon or plummet to the ground. But they do have enough influence to be able to start a bull cycle for a while or start a bear cycle for a while, depending on what their preference is, because they have such a large amount of capital to move prices at any given whim. So we generally define a shark or whale for Bitcoin as someone that holds between 10 all the way up to 10,000 BTC. Generally 10 to 100 is more in the shark range, 100 to 10,000. That's when you're talking about, if I'm doing the math, you're talking about $4.6 million all the way up to $460 million as of the time of market prices right now. And generally, when they are moving up and accumulating, prices tend to move up with them. If they're dumping and taking profit, that's when you have to be a little bit concerned because their influence and ability to keep prices propped up is being jeopardized due to their lower percentage of the supply held. So one of the first things I like to show on my weekly market updates is whether they're accumulating or dumping. And it may be surprising to some, but they've actually been steadily dumping, not to an extreme degree, but during all of this ETF madness, they haven't exactly been scooping up more and more Bitcoin the way some people were hoping. About 6 months ago, they were holding 67.07% of the supply, or about 13.02 million total BTC. That's combined wallets that all hold between 10 to 10,000 BTC. So they were holding a little more than 2/3 of the supply. Now they're down to 66.51%, or 13.03 million. So between 6 months ago, they've dropped about half a percentage, if not a little more, of the entire supply, which is a lot. However, because there are new coins being minted all the time and mined and coming into the existing supply, the actual amount that they hold has gone from 13.02 million up to 13.03 million. So just a very modest 10,000 BTC rise. And that shows that a lot of these Bitcoin miners are in this shark and whale range, because despite the percentage of their supply being held is going down, their overall amount has gone up ever so slightly. So long story short, prices, especially since mid-October, have absolutely exploded, gone up 65, 66%. But the supply held by sharks and whales are arguably going down just a tiny bit, leading to what would imply is a slight bearish divergence heading into the big ETF decision.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, I'm glad that you ended off with that bit of a summary there, because my next question to you was, how might we be able to interpret this and how can we position ourselves? I know that as soon as that last question came out of my mouth, it made me realize that it could be construed as a financial advice. And of course, I just want to reiterate that nothing that we do say here is financial advice. But to the best of your ability, how might someone in our position take this information and use it to the best of our abilities?
Yeah, it really, using our metrics is all about probabilities. There's no certainty in crypto, and even when history has repeated itself 10 times prior, there's always room for the 11th time to be the big anomaly where, whales and sharks go down, but prices still explode. And that's kind of been the case for the last 3 months, because whales and sharks have not been accumulating. Um, the the implication is that prices would never go as high as they have been, but due to so much ETF optimism and sentiment going the way it has, there's been a push from smaller traders to keep prices churning along. I think based on probabilities, you want to hedge your risks a little bit, be a bit conservative, of course, until the announcement comes down, which may be any minute now, or I think any hour now, I should say. Um, and don't put all your chips in the middle when you're seeing that the big key stakeholders aren't doing the same themselves. So that's kind of the general advice that I can give without going into investment advice, because we don't know here at Santiment. We're not all knowing beings that know where markets are going to go next, but we can say with probability that in this particular circumstance, there is a likelier sign of a kind of a buy the rumor, sell the news phenomenon with this ETF, where anything but like, all ETFs are approved today might actually be disappointing news for people. And you combine that with the fact that big key stakeholders have not really been accumulating, and there's still a bit of a concern that 50K might take a little longer than people want it to.
So there's two big takeaways there. I love the fact that we're landing the plane here, talking about you know being very cautious with your investments and not putting all of your eggs in one basket. The other takeaway, though, is that it's encouraging to know that the whales and the sharks don't hold all the power, and because there is such a high volume of people who hold less than 10 Bitcoin, there's still a huge amount of influence that they also have on the market here, which is encouraging to me here. So I want to. We only have a couple
I have
minutes
a
left here.
question there
Oh, please, please.
related to the, yeah, because it's connected to that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but so I don't know if you guys have any sort of estimate of what is the range or in which the price moves when, for instance, these whales decide to dump. Because based on what you have been telling us and the data that I'm seeing here, it doesn't seem like it's going to be like a super huge effect like one might imagine. So I'm curious to know if you guys have done that study before, or if you have any ideas about, a ballpark number or something that you can provide.
Yeah, we certainly believe in psychological support levels, like round numbers such as 50K. There's undoubtedly, if you talk about the next sell level where a lot of people have limit sells, it's going to be at a round number like 50,000, undoubtedly. So generally, there's going to be, if and when prices hit that number, which could be today or tomorrow or 3 months from now, there's usually some phenomenon where we reach 50K and then drop below it as many sell walls get hit. And then if whales and sharks are accumulating at that point, then it would quickly zoom past 50K and go from there until we see the next historical resistance level, which I believe last happened in late 2021 or early 2022 when we were still above 50K. And there are some TA traders out there who know those resistance and support levels far better than myself. But generally speaking, the big round numbers of 40K would be the supports, 50K would be the resistance. I think 44K in particular is where we saw a lot of polarity recently. So if you're talking about very recent resistance levels, that would be one to look at. Our founder named Maxim is a savant when it comes to Elliott waves and other TA tools like Bollinger Bands. So he has some precise prices that he sometimes talks about on our weekly calls. And you can even review on our YouTube channel what some of those numbers are that he discussed. But generally, I would look at the psychological numbers. You know, crypto is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy a lot of times. And when the crowd tends to emphasize those big round numbers, those are where the polarization tend to jump in. So 50K is undoubtedly where you'll see a lot of push and pull, assuming the ETFs or at least one ETF gets approved today and people take it as positive news and try to push up prices toward that 50K number. I would presume there's going to be some tug of war going on at that level. And if not, if it goes the other direction, then 44K would be the immediate short-term one, and 40K would be the more large long-term one.
Awesome. I'm very encouraged once again that, you know, amongst all of the on-chain data that we have access to, there's still a place for TA. I'm also encouraged to know that Elliott wave theory, there is some legitimacy behind that. That's something I've been dabbling into here and there, and you've motivated me to take a bit of a deeper dive here. So yeah, no, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So Brian, we've only got a couple minutes left here, so I want to give you the liberty to walk us through any other part of sentiment that you think might provide the most value to our audience, something that might get everyone excited here to use, and maybe will encourage them to take a little bit more thought when it comes to informing yourself before making moves and doing your DD when it comes to things like on-chain analysis and you know, observing the social sentiment behind what's actually going on in the market. So I'm going to send the mic your way, and whatever you feel like walking us through here, the mic is all yours.
Yeah, sure. So on my screen here, I'm showing a metric known as weighted sentiment, which is one we put a lot of emphasis on. It's a hybrid metric that combines the amount of social discussion related to an asset and multiplies that by the ratio of positive versus negative commentary going on for that asset. So we're looking at both the amount of discussion and relating that to how positive versus negative people are about it. And generally speaking, when you see the weighted sentiment bar getting very, very high, kind of like it is right now, that's a sign of FOMO and a bit of greed going on. People trying to buy on the way up in most cases. Obviously, as we speak, you know, prices are climbing, trying to get to 47K. And people are highly anticipating the ETF approval announcement today. So with that, we're in kind of a weird spot where a lot is going to be based on the news rather than just irrational FOMO versus FUD. But in a vacuum, you want to be cautious when weighted sentiment is euphoric like it is now, and you want to be greedy when weighted sentiment is extremely pessimistic and skeptical of prices, kind of like what we saw during the FTX collapse last November. So that's a great one to keep an eye on. We also have these awesome models, and I'm showing on my screen now a snippet of the asset activity matrix, which I programmed a few months back. And what this does, if you're an altcoin trader, this is like paradise because it gives you a glimpse as to which assets are the hottest or coldest at any given moment, in terms of their overall network activity, looking at things like the amount of unique addresses interacting on the network, the amount of new addresses being created, the amount of whale transactions, how high its social dominance is, or even whether coins are tending to move out of exchanges more or onto exchanges more, with the latter being bearish and the former being bullish. So we really recommend using models like these, which basically just use a plugin that you can have on Google Sheets. You make a copy of the existing model and you'll see all of the hot and cold squares like this pop right up to tell you which altcoins you should have a special eye on if you like making money. So I'd say, in short, take a look at the activity matrix for a lot of altcoin decisions. Take a look at weighted sentiment like this for crowd-driven rallies that are around the corner. And you can even look at just our overall data screener, which I think is underutilized by our community right now. And you can look at, kind of a overall kind of one-page synopsis of how markets are doing. You can look at the one-day social volume changes for the top 100 or so assets. You can look at price changes in a very organized, positive versus negative price change percentage visual like this. The overall market cap over a week span, whether it's going up or down. You can change prices to 7 days, get a quick glimpse of what the hot assets have been over the past week. Hex, of course, is leading the way, up 72%. You can even change to 30 days, where we can see that SEI has almost tripled over the past 30 days. So this is a great way to just get some overall context on the markets when you're trying to figure out how to optimize your portfolio. You can filter by, price volatility, trading volume, social dominance, even development activity, where we have a very popular metric to show which projects out there have the most active teams that are genuinely trying to improve and innovate their projects, which is a pretty important aspect when it comes to trustability and deciding on which projects are worth your hard-earned money.
I am taken back by how easy it is to take in so much data in any one moment. Just whoever's not looking at the screen share right now, it's just, there's so much here just ready for us to take a look at and consume here. And if you're a visual learner like me, who very much enjoys doing deep dives into different tokens and different protocols, and to really get a sense on what's happening right now, you're going to love Sentiment, because it takes all of this data that can be very difficult and time consuming to interpret, and just brings it to life, essentially, which for me is a huge win here. So just about wrapping up here, Brian, I want to quickly give you one more opportunity to let everybody know how we can support you, how they can get involved, how they can check out Sentiment. Before I do that, though, I just want to quickly touch base with you, Victor, see where you're at, and see if you had any other thoughts on everything that's been happening here.
Yes, I have one final question, Trav, which is a surprise and is part of a series of questions that I want to implement in our spaces going forward, which I think is going to be interesting. So I don't know if should I wait or should I go on right now?
I'm going to leave that to Brian, depending on how much time you have, my friend.
Please feel free.
Absolutely, yeah. So my question is, what is the alpha from your unique perspective? So what do I mean by this? Uh, we all have certain information or certain belief or something that we know that sometimes is overlooked in the market, right? So if it is maybe something related with your platform and the tokens and things that you have been seeing in here, amazing. But maybe it's just something that you know that nobody's looking into the industry, maybe some trend or something that you know is quite likely to happen. So whatever it is, the alpha from your perspective, what would that be?
So if I'm understanding if I'm understanding your question, you're asking what metrics we typically keep an eye on that give the best glimpse at future market movement. Is that correct?
That could be one possibility, but another one could be something that you are personally looking into and that maybe is not in the platform. Like it's completely open, up to you.
Sure. Yeah, I think as far as things on our platform, we like to keep a very close eye on sentiment first and foremost, seeing how the crowd perceives the markets and understanding what the correct counter trading strategy would be, um, and especially when they get extreme, as I mentioned at the beginning of the call. So the top alpha out there is to understand what the common narrative is among the millions of traders and what they're saying online, and then ensuring that you aren't falling into the same trap, even if they're all correct. And they say that crypto is all going to the moon. If they all believe that, that's going to delay the likelihood of that happening now, even if they're right about that years from now. So I think the alpha is really watching what the crowd believes, and then watching what the actual money movements are among the large traders, the sharks and whales, who are generally silent. The smaller the trader, the more vocal they tend to be. Those that have millions and tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of dollars in crypto, they're not the ones talking online about how big uh, of a pump they expect to happen. They're just quietly moving their money uh, according to what they believe is going to happen, or perhaps they have insider information related to the project's developers. Who knows? But pay attention to what the crowd believes and make sure you aren't going with that common narrative, and then go with what the large holders are doing in terms of their money, not so much what they're saying. I think those are the two primary elements of alpha. And then, of course, on a lower level, but still important, just pay attention to the overall utility of any asset at any given time, because more utility logically is going to help a network grow over time. The primary purpose of these networks existing is so that they're actually used. And if no one is using them and that all the coins are just staying stagnant, that could be a sign that the coin has limited potential to grow in market cap.
Amazing, Brian. Thank you so much. Trav, I give the mic back to you.
Amazing. I'm so thrilled with that. That's going to be clipped about 18 different ways. So grateful for that that last drop there, Brian. It sums up a lot of what I've been trying to communicate for a very long time. And I believe personally that this is exactly what the space needs to hear now more than ever. And to just kind of bring that to light, one of your recent videos, you spoke about how using your platform when you're noticing tokens that are trending and absolutely pumping, particularly the ones that are going against the narrative, or the ones that are diverging from the price of Bitcoin, 72% of the time they're going to reverse, over 70 to 80% or something along those lines. I don't remember the precise number, but you've actually been able to show data and analysis to prove this. And I think there's a lot of power there. And I'm grateful for you being here, and I'm grateful for you summarizing that in such a concise and tangible way here. So, Brian, I want to give you the mic here. Any final words that you have before you have to take off? It's all yours. But yeah, thank you so much again for taking the time to share this incredibly powerful information with us all, and helping all of us just be more aware and more smart. Geez, that was an oxymoron. Smarter with our liquidity in this space here. So it's all yours, Brian.
Yeah, my pleasure, Travis. I think you summed it up really well about 5 minutes ago when you said that sentiment is really useful in its ability to organize and visualize complex data into something meaningful. That's really what we're about. If you have to remember, all blockchain information is publicly available. We don't have some sort of private connection to information that nobody else has access to. But due to the hard work of our developers, we've managed to put all that information that is publicly available into something curated and organized, so that you don't have to go through hours and hours and days of data just to find a simple answer to your question. We structure and organize things so that you can quickly come to a conclusion in no time, just like Bloomberg does with equities. And I think that's important to remember. We are here to provide information in as efficient of a manner as we possibly can for you, and we're always open to feedback. So that's why we have this wonderful community that constantly keeps us on our toes and gives us enlightening ideas to improve all the time. And we're kind of the people's data platform more than anything. We want to make sure that it is able to be used as easily and as efficiently as possible at all times. And Twitter Spaces like this with you guys and your excellent questions really helps, get our platform out to more people, and that's what we really would like to do right now. So I look forward to doing it again with you guys, and cheers to hopefully good news coming in the next few hours to make markets continue to climb the way they have been.
Much appreciated, my friend. I was muted there. Classic trap move here. Beautifully summarized. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for putting in the work. I was able to see that you guys have been Sentiment has been established for at least 5 years. So you guys have been here continuing to build through so many different cycles, so many different events, and it shows them through your work and through how you present this information with us today, that you know what the heck that you're talking about, and you also are doing it for reasons that align with exactly what we're trying to bring and highlight in this space. And that's people who are here building for the people to help empower everyone so that we can turn degens to responsible traders, and we can make the most out of Web3 here. So we're probably going to keep this space going a few more minutes here, Brian. But of course, take off whenever you need to. And I imagine that's now. But I just wanted to thank you again one more time for taking the time to be with us today and sharing such valuable information with us. Truly, truly grateful.
Yeah, no worries at all. I will head on out now because I've got another call in just a few minutes. But I want to thank everyone who tuned in, and of course, both of you for organizing this great call. It was a pleasure.
Excellent. Much love, Brian. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll definitely chat soon. I'll reach out soon, actually, to get some feedback on today's space here and see how we can support each other. So in saying that, everyone, I'm super curious to know your feedback on what you may have learned from today's space. Any questions you may have on anything that we've spoken about already, feel free to drop a comment, and we're happy to discuss those things in the next couple of minutes here. And in the meantime, Victor, how you feeling, my friend? What are your thoughts on everything that we spoke about?
Yeah, I think that one important message also to our audience is to kind of take action, like try these things out, go to the platform, experiment, test, and use it. If we have these tools, if we provide this information, what we really want is to empower others to take action, take responsibility, and always be aware of the risk involved in cryptocurrency trading. That's for sure. And I wanted to give a big shout out to the communities that are always supporting us in these Web3 Matter spaces. I cannot not mention the people from the Wildcat Alliance. For a long time, they have been supporting us and tuning in, and we have been with them as well. And of course, the Yeti Apes, I see there some BFP, and our friends that are usually tuning in, Simulations, Sprenko, Irina, TOC, and many, many, many others that are joining us today. So thank you so much, guys, for joining. And I don't know, Trav, how do you want to close this?
So first things first, we definitely have to choose a winner for our content blow up challenge here. So maybe I'll task you with that if you want to take a quick scan here while I share some closing thoughts. How does that sound for you there, Victor?
Sounds good. Going to check it now.
Perfect. And while you do that, I just want to open up the floor. If anybody did have any thoughts or any questions they wanted to share with us today, feel free to put on a speaker request on the bottom left-hand side, and I'd love to hear from you. And I also want to just echo your sentiment there, Victor, and just send some gratitude and appreciation to everyone here today. We've got a lot of hard workers, some strong builders in the space. We've got Craig, who's recently started his own space, who's just been dropping alpha like it's hot. I went there. I apologize. I'm not sorry at all. We've got TOC, who is just always bringing very informed content that always helps all of us look at what's happening with an objective, non-biased way. Of course, the Wildcat Alliance. We've got Simulations, Spranko, Dave, Arena, Barney, who I just had the pleasure of connecting with recently. It's been an absolute pleasure, and so much more here. So some closing thoughts that I wanted to share here. And the first one is, I just want to reiterate, now more than ever, how important it is to inform yourself before dropping any sort of money on any sort of position, because with big players like BlackRock now actually being invested in this space, although I am sure they've been invested since day one, to be honest with you, but that's another topic of discussion. But now that it has such a strong awareness in society, it has such a strong narrative in Web2 news outlets all over the map. It's the amount of volatility and the amount of outside influence is at an all-time high. And that's why we chose to connect with the creators of Sentiment, because the one thing that differentiates trading in crypto versus stock trading is that everything truly is available. And to really just highlight this, in the stock world, what's wild is that there's so many, like any sort of massive trade that happens, you can't see that. That's all hidden from us purposely, so that it doesn't have massive movements on price action, and it doesn't massively swing price one way or another. And that's there's a positive to that. But the negative is there's also a lot of manipulation and also a lot of backdoor trades that can happen, where their purpose is to profit off of our backs. So the fact that we're here in Web3, I think just this highlights the true beauty of what it is that we are all a part of, and that's decentralization. Not only provides us all of these opportunities to be able to create, to be able to invest and support different communities, but it also allows us to actively view what's happening behind the scenes, and nobody can hide from that. And I think there's a lot of power here. So yeah, I'm going to stop monologuing here real quick. I'm going to send the mic back to you, Victor. I see you posted something up top here. Why don't you tell us what's happening?
Yes, so I took a look at the people who were retweeting this space, and I found this tweet, this post made by the TOC, and I wanted to read it out loud because I think it really reflects part of the values and cultures that we have here at Web3 Matters, and we want to foster that. So it says, building culture on the blockchain as a founder means showing up and transparency. Showing up to spaces, showing up to the chats. Transparency when building, letting people know the process, even when you're having to pivot and change goals. What an amazing message here, TOC. Congrats on sharing that. You won this challenge today. So if we can ask the people in our community to show some love and support to this tweet, we would really appreciate it. It is very important for us to encourage others to participate in our spaces and to take action and to support others, because that's the only way we think we are going to win long term. And I think that bringing these values and culture to the blockchain is something that it really has a significant impact uh, beyond what we can imagine, because we are just a few ones here in the space doing this thing. But when we trespass these values to other generations and to people outside, that's when we will see really massive change in the world. And I think that transparency is something that before Web3, the word didn't even exist, right? Like nobody really cares. Like it was the way it worked with corporations. They do everything with the doors closed, and you don't know anything. People who works in the organization don't know anything. They just have to follow instruction from a few people that are in the places of power. And right now with the blockchain, we can see everything like Trump said. So thank you so much for everyone who joined it, and expect a newsletter on this topic as well. And yeah, that's my final message to everyone.
Beautifully summed up, Victor. Truly, I could listen to the things that you say all day. You're so informed. You're so eloquent. And to end this off on such a strong message, just lifts me right up, my friend. So I appreciate you. So I just want to finish this off with two final things. The first one, call to action. For all of you guys here today, I want to show TOC so much love. I want to take his post that we've posted up top, and I want to get it to at least 2,000 views. We can do that. We have done that. And I want to do that all with all of you guys today here. So I want to invite you to go up to that post on the top, the one by TOC. I want you to comment on it. I want you to comment on the comments. I want you to repost it. I want you to bookmark it, and I want you to like it. And let's see how far we can push this. And next week, once we have our other space, we're going to do this again, and we're going to choose someone else so that we can show some appreciation back to you guys for supporting us on our mission, which of course is to empower all of us so that we can all make the most out of what Web3 has to offer here. And the last thing I want to end off with is that we're going to be launching another newsletter today. And the focus on today's newsletter is to actually find out how to do due diligence and research on longer term tokens. And this is going to be a multiple part newsletter that's going to span a couple of different ones here. And today we're actually going to talk about how to exactly find out what a project is building, why it's relevant, and if it even matters, so that you can take that knowledge, and it's going to be a step-by-step guide on exactly what you can do. And there's going to be some AI prompts to help make this a heck of a lot easier, so that you can take your liquidity and put it to good use, instead of just speculating and throwing it and hoping for the best year. So if you are interested in that series of our newsletter, feel free to check out our bio. Both Quantic and I, we have the subscription link up top. And yeah, we'll be getting that out and sharing some perspective on that as well here. So without further ado, my friends, I'm going to wrap it up. What a space. I'm feeling pretty amazing right now. I'm super grateful that you've all taken the time out of your busy lives to be here with us today. I really hope that you took some powerful information away. And of course, if you guys have any other feedback, thoughts, or requests on things you guys want us to cover, we're ready to dive deep. We're ready to chat with the experts, and we're ready to share everything we learn with you, because that's why we're here. We want to empower all of us, and we want to all make the most of it. So yeah, that's it, guys. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. Appreciate all of you, and see you on the timeline. Take care.
See you guys. Take care. Bye bye.